I'm here at the ITU studio with Professor Klaus M. Leisinger, who is Chairman of the Novartis Foundation for Sustainable Development for Novartis International AG. Professor Leisinger, thank you very much for being with us today.
You're welcome.
I'd like to start off by asking you, how important are events such as ITU TELECOM World 2012, and what are the main benefits of participation as you see it?
I think it's tremendously important. You get everybody there who matters. You can talk to them, you can discuss, you can compare notes, you can listen to deviating points of view, and that's kind of the ingredients in a creative and innovative situation.
The Leadership Summit at ITU TELECOM World 2012 is going to be focusing on fostering and managing innovation. What role can high-level dialogue of this kind play in stimulating innovation, do you think?
You know, the biggest challenge for an industry like the ICT industry is after 10 to 15 years of explosive success of growth rates that you normally don't dream of, we are going into a situation where for the next 10 to 15 years we are looking into a different kind of world. How can we anticipate change? What kind of creativity is necessary? Where are issues that we learned to live with that we should prevent in the future? And again, they are, I hope there are not only people from the same silo who talk to each other with the same language, but if you can create a situation where you also have critical people or media people and get challenged by them, this is a unique opportunity to stimulate innovation.
Communicating the Future, the session at the Leadership Summit in which you're speaking, addresses the need to rebuild public trust in the communications sector. Are new regulatory models the answer, do you think? And if so, what form do you think they should take?
Basically, more regulation is not the answer, because regulation always is reactive, is always curing the problems of the past. Regulation is always bureaucratic, and regulation always invites to go around it. So the analysis of why have we lost trust is so important. Where did we make mistakes? What has gone wrong? Who are the people who don't trust us? Who are our stakeholders? Are we neglecting some interests that we should think of? What would be legitimate rather than just legal? And I think that analysis and the reflection of the result of that analysis is much more important and is much more constructive than more regulation. At the end of the day, after so many years in industry, I simply don't believe that state employees can do a better job than managers. So if managers want to avoid regulation, it is competing with integrity, being perceived to be part of the solution and not part of the problem.
And finally, I'd like to ask you, what concrete steps can leaders in business and government alike take to re-establish public trust? And how might this represent an opportunity for greater efficiency and value creation?
We could talk an hour about that. But the basic issue, again, is listening to criticism. Listening not in the sense of this is an inconvenient thing through which I have to sit through, but kind of evaluate, why would they perceive it like this? We are in modern societies, we have a pluralism of interest, we have a pluralism of value, people have different world views. So some of the criticism is something you will say, fine, let's agree to disagree on that. Some of the criticism has a much deeper basis, and that might be something that you ask yourself and your colleagues, maybe they are not wrong, and what could we do about that? Talking to stakeholders, instead of hiding in your silos, talking to your colleagues only or to financial analysts, to whom should we talk? What's the world around me? Who are our customers? What are their needs? Very often, in my experience, talking to stakeholders as a regular process, and not only if the house is already burning, provides you with an early warning system. You find things being in the pipeline that come up and come up and come up again. And if you are part of such a dialogue, you can compare your house, whether it is in order, in view of the issues that are going to come on the table. The other thing is business models change. The business model of a fastly growing industry is going to be a different one than the business model in a saturated industry. Probably the business model for the United States or for Switzerland has to be a different one than the one for India or for Bangladesh or for an African countries. Why should it be different? What's the role of the service public? What should we do as our core business? Where is the core competence? A lot of the issues that we take for granted seem to be enormously complex. Have we been explaining complexity? And if not, why not? It should be possible, because people don't trust if it is too complex. They think, you know, there is something I don't understand. Also, talk about the dilemmas you face. You know, my experience again is most of the black and white issues are a question of intelligence. You are too if you cannot differentiate black from white, you're probably too stupid. The very, very complex issues are where if you do this, you have these risks and these benefits, and if you do that, you have different risks and different benefits. And seen from different perspectives, the valuation of the risks and the benefit involved are different. Let's talk about that. Let's, as leaders, take up these issues in a non-defensive context. Let's stand up and say, we are well aware that we have a dilemma here. This is how we look at it. We know other people are looking at it in a different way. How do we create value? You know, there is a world between a shareholder value only approach and a stakeholder value approach. My personal preference would always be stakeholder, because finance as such is important. It's like the food you eat, but nobody would define the purpose of its life as eating. So, you know, it is creation beyond the financial values. And if you, coming back to that, if you are communicating, if you are listening, if you are reflecting, if you are on record that you want to be part of the solution and not being seen as part of the problem, you will change the whole attitude. You will change eventually the business model, and that eventually is going to give you a competitive advantage too.
Professor Leisinger, thank you very much for being with us today.
You're welcome.